You know what I just don't understand? How did we go from this to this? How? Hello everyone, it is Briximus Prime back for another Transformers action figure video, and today we're going to be looking at the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Crosshairs and Hot Rod both from Transformers The Last... Anyway, moving on to the packaging. Here right up front, it does have both of the images of Hot Rod and Crosshair right there. It says he's 92 and 93, Crosshairs and Hot Rod. And it says Transformers, Takara. Here on the side of the packaging, we got some nice images of them there on the side. Authentic Transformers! Here on the back of the packaging, some nice obligatory product shots and all that kind of stuff. Got their mug shots here on the side. It says they're both deluxe class. That is mostly it for the packaging. They come with these cardboard backdrops, which allow you to fully recreate some of those just very beloved scenes that took up way too much screen time in the movie. And here is taking a look at the guns included with these particular figures. Crosshairs comes with his little pair of little machine guns right here. They're cast in black plastic. Nothing in particular about these that looks really cool, but at least they're accurate and everything. And there is some really cool weapon storage with these. And then comes with his blaster here, his time gun, I guess, and it does have a little bit of blue painted on there. Very nice. Pretty cool stuff here with the weaponry. If you come to Crosshairs' little car flaps right there that make up his trench coat, you can take the guns and you can store them right on in there, almost as if he has them holstered in his coat like he did in the movie. Whatever, who cares about continuity in these Michael Bay movies anyway? And the French-speaking robot has nowhere to store his gun on his back. And here is taking a look at Crosshairs, which, in full honesty, Crosshair is kind of just a real piece of shit. He like doesn't even want to be an Autobot, but he's also not like killing people left and right like a Decepticon. I don't really understand his character all that much, and that same kind of feeling about the character reflects into the engineering of the figure. He's like so like really nice looking, and yet he still somehow manages to be a piece of shit even after looking so much better than that original Crosshairs figure. I should also mention there is some very nice light piping in there. Overall, I like the shade of green they used, and there's tons of mechanical detailing here, which the Studio Series has been famed for doing. And I will admit, the trench coat here looks a lot better than previous incarnations of the Crosshairs figure. And overall, I think he looks fine. It's just some of the parts are kind of loose, and there's even just some engineering things that kind of confuse me a little bit. Oh, man. Crosshair is not looking... Man, he's like
as flat as your girlfriend.
As flat as paper. What the fuck? Look how much robot there is and how much trench coat there is. That is really inexcusable in my opinion. I feel like Hasbro could have done a little bit better with this guy. And due to his wonky proportions and him being thin in some places and some joints are looser than they should be, it really makes him a weird figure to handle. Getting into his articulation, he does have a head that can swivel left to right. Shoulders are on a weird butterfly joint that can hinge forward and back a little bit. They can't really hinge out all that far. They could hinge out more if you kind of shift them around with that butterfly joint, but it's really hard to get some good poses out of it. They can rotate on those ball joints. They do get a bicep swivel. Bend at the elbow that only bends 90 degrees. The wrists only hinge in and out. No waist swivel. These little skirt pieces here for his coat can hinge out. They can shift. They can kick up for the leg. They can also move outward, so the leg can kick forward that far. Can't really kick back all that far. If you move the trench coat, it can move like this. If you guys think it looks like a mess on camera, that's because it is. His leg can move outward that far. He does have a tight thigh swivel. Double bend at the knees, which bend all the way in, though they're really, really wonky to mess around with. Ankles can move down and up. He does get some ankle pivot and some ankle swiveling. So overall, it has good articulation in theory, but when actually trying to use it and just how much of a cluster mess this is, it just becomes a huge mess.
Just like those Michael Bay movies.
here is taking a look at...
At what?
Okay, I'll stop doing that now. I actually think this guy looks really accurate to his movie counterpart. Nice blue eyes. Also, I don't see any reason why they couldn't have included some light piping on him. The orange and everything on this guy really makes him shine a whole lot. I feel like a lot of this is just blank gray. If he had no orange on him, he would have turned out looking very plain. But I know this has kind of been addressed before with a lot of other people. I'm not a big fan of this design, at least for Hot Rod. I would have much rather them had named this something else entirely. And if you were really going to make him Hot Rod, where's the spoiler? Where's the famous, iconic Hot Rod spoiler? Where's the flames? Where's the, the Hot Rod exhaust pipes he uses his guns? There's no reason this guy should be called Hot Rod. But again, the figure is still really good. I really like it. He's got all this mechanical detailing. I love the transformation bit of how this shift plate shifts in and forms the chest. And then I love the arms and the transformation. The posability is also really good. The only bit on here that I feel like is a little bit underplayed is his ankle pivot. The ankle pivot feels a little bit weak. So do the knees, but those are still able to work. It's just a little bit sketchy in some areas because these tires do barely manage to clear out enough room for them. The head can swivel from side to side. It can look up and down. Shoulders rotate a full 360. They can move in and out on a ball joint and a hinge joint in there. He does get a bicep swivel, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, wrist swivel, which I was really surprised to see. He does have some shifting bits on the wings back here. Waist swivel, which I'm glad they included because there's been a lot of figures lately that have not been including waist swivels when they really could have. I'm talking about you, Crosshairs! His hips can move forward, they can move back, they can move outward. He does get a thigh swivel. Bend at the knee, just again, you have to kind of push the tire out of the way in order to bend it all the way, so just FYI. And then finally, the ankles can shift up, they can shift back, and then there is a ball joint that allows for swiveling, and you can pivot it ever so slightly, but if you want to get any more pivot, you have to kind of rotate it like this a little bit, and that kind of gets you a little bit more pivot, but again, it's nowhere as deep as Crosshairs' ankle pivot. I mean, come on. Here they are with my last Studio Series review on the Studio Series 86 Voyager class Ironhide. And then here they are with my last Michael Bay Studio Series Transformers review, the Leader class The Fallen. Anywho, let's just get right on into the transformation on both of these guys. There are spoilers ahead. This is your guys' only spoiler warning. Alright? Are you guys ready? And here is both of them in their awesome looking vehicle modes. Hot Rod transforms into a Lamborghini Centenario, and he looks pretty compelling. I love the transition from the robot to the vehicle mode. And then Crosshairs transforms into some kind of Corvette, I believe. Let's start with Crosshairs first. I love the color scheme. The color scheme really makes the figure here. I love the green, the black, these like intense stripes going across, the headlights, the little logo. Everything looks pitch perfect, especially here with the rims, the tail lights. There isn't a single thing here that makes me go like, they should have added something extra to this car mode. Another thing I also appreciate is, I do have to de-transform it just a little bit to show you, but the weapon storage is still the exact same as in the coat, so you can actually keep the weapon stored away while you transform it and turn it into the awesome looking car mode. And I think that's a really cool feature. I really like that. Now, one of my issues with the car mode that I think they could have figured out a better way to do is they've made this spoiler back here removable because, and you don't take it off to like form it into like a blade weapon or anything. You just take it off because it gets in the way of transformation. So they just took it off just so you could take it off. I think that's kind of dumb. But thankfully, the car mode doesn't look too shabby without the spoiler. It's just, for movie accuracy, it does require the spoiler. So that is a little issue I do have. He does roll pretty well, and I do like the way how he looks. And overall, the only other complaint I have is I wish they would have made this plastic just a little bit more of a smoky clear, just so that you didn't see any of the car bits. And his head's kind of poking out a little bit there in the engine block. But anyway, that is really it for the vehicle mode on Crosshair. Moving on to Hot Rod, who turns into the Lamborghini. This looks so seamless. I love this transformation. It feels very like masterpiece level because there's so many like little teeny bits and shifting parts that like I don't think Takara and Hasbro could top this. The only thing that just looks a little weird is how they have this smoky white plastic right here for the windscreen, but then over here on the sides it's a darker smoky plastic. I just thought that was a little weird of a design choice, and it does make it look a little weird on some angles, but overall I still love how this Lamborghini looks. Again, very sleek, very flat. It does still roll pretty well, even for it being very, very low to the ground. Like, it still manages to roll pretty well. And again, it's got the tail lights and all those little bits and details that really make it just look very accurate. It almost doesn't even look like it transforms. Like, even when you first pick it up, you have no idea where to start to transform it. Like, it's just so well put together. So let's get into the vehicle mode, alternate mode comparisons here. Here they are with Studio Series 86 Ironhide. And then here they are compared next to the Fallen. And if you guys think his alternate mode looks a little bit incomplete, that's because it is. I just randomly jumbled him up into a random yoga pose and just called it good. But hey, you wouldn't have noticed the difference if I didn't tell you, right? And that is basically it for my review on the Transformers Studio Series Crosshairs and Hot Rod.
Hot Rod! Hot Rod.
I think they're really good figures. I just think that the crosshair could have been done just a little bit better. I feel like some areas on him are a little bit lacking, specifically in the shoulders being so limited and having that weird butterfly joint. If that butterfly joint was not there, the shoulders would be very, very stiff to pose. And part of me feels like there's some poses that this guy should be able to pull off that you just can't. Hot Rod, on the other hand, absolutely amazing. I literally have very, very minimal complaints. Again, I just feel like there's bits of articulation that could have been improved, that easily could have been added in. Both of these figures are pretty good. It's just, if I had to, I just feel like Hot Rod's the better of the two. And yeah, I honestly do think the vehicle modes are actually better than the actual robot modes themselves. At least in the case of Crosshairs. I think his vehicle mode looks so much better than his robot mode. I just really wish that there were maybe some things from the car that got compromised for the robot mode, like maybe a little bit more, bulk into his shoulders so you could have some proper shoulder articulation. That would have made me feel a little bit better about posing him. But as he is, I think Crosshairs is he's still better in vehicle mode than robot mode. Hot Rod, however, he is perfect in both modes. Like, I literally have no other way to say it but in the most simplest terms. If I had to give these guys ratings, I give the Hot Rod a very solid 9 out of 10, and the Crosshairs I give like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. But yeah, or maybe 5.5. So yeah, that is really it for this review. If you guys enjoyed it, give me a like on the video, comment down below what you guys think, subscribe to the channel for more Transformers and action figure videos, and I'll catch you guys next time.